Okay, so one of the major challenges that you're going to face in your journey has to do with how to manage time, because you're not going to have more than 24 hours. Trust me, no matter what you do. Ever since the world has been created and up till now, thousands years ago and up till now, time has remained the same. No gain, no loss. So oftentimes when people lament over the use of time and how they seek for gaining more time, probably they might even tell you that they want you to give them to add to their own time. It's out of frustration of the fact that one doesn't know how to manage the time. So one of the responsibilities that we have as human beings is for us to know how to manage time and get the best out of time. Because in this lifetime, you've only got 24 hours per day, 7 days a week, and 365 or 366 in the case of a leap year in 1 year. So how do you ensure that you productively maximize this Gregorian time? Is one of your preoccupation in life. And let me just make this, give you this instinct ahead of time, just way ahead of our conversation. And that's the fact that there must be a point of reference for you to make sense out of time. There must be a point of reference. And it depends on the level of your knowledge and understanding about life. The more you get to know things you need to know about life, the more you expand on your point of reference and have points or point of references. And you'll see by the time you begin to share, I mean, when I analyze some of the things that you'll share, you will see where the issues are coming from. So don't forget, you must always have point of reference for you to make sense of time out of life. Very, very important. So let's get into it. Um, Before I explain some of these tools or techniques to us, I want to give you the first principle on time management. Imagine you are in um, business management class and they are to teach you time management in business. They'll tell you business 101. The first principle has to do with the understanding of value as relates to time management. You know, we talked about value system yesterday. So when I'm talking about value here, it's not about your personal value. I'm talking about what? I'm talking about the premium that you put on time, because time is a commodity. So you can't afford to trade away time. You know, in our local parlance, I remember in my previous session, not with your home cohort, in another cohort, I told them that when I embarked on research during my leadership program, one of the things that I came up with as my finding has to do with, um, it was around a local adage which says that time is money. So I came up with a model called time now money, TNM. So I expanded on this model and I've applied it to my life and it has really, really worked like magic. So when you're looking at the perspective of value or worth or premium you want to put on time, always remember that time and money. Every second counts. That's the bottom line of the principle. Every second. Life is measured in seconds. That's the smallest unit of relatable unit of time in nature. Forget about all these nanoseconds, microseconds. No human life is measured in those space. But other elements of nature, like light travel, like the speed of what's it called now? Like the wind, when you are looking at barometer to measure wind, all of these things, or you are looking at temperature, every other thing that occurs either naturally or supernaturally in life can be measured, you know, at transcendental infinitesimal points, which you can look at nanoseconds, microseconds, and all of that. But the real measure of life to you and I as human beings, the smallest unit is in seconds. So every second of life, every moment you live counts, right? So in apart from Africa, in other parts of the world where you have growing economy or developed economy, they measure the quality of service based on the premium, based on the worth, the value of time being spent. I'm trying to establish a concept to you here so that when we go into tools, because what precedes the use of tools, what precedes the use of techniques, you know, on subjects has to do with the fundamental principles that undergird the use of those tools. There are principles behind the use of computer. Computer is a tool. Your laptop, your desktop, your palm top, your iPads, all these things are gadgets, they are tools. But there are principles in computing behind all these things. That's why you have programs installed on them. So there are principles undergirding the use of this tool so that you can make use of it. I mean, when you are using them, either in form of frameworks or you are using them in form of assessment tool, you can be able to make sense out of it and appreciate the kind of results you get in the end. So that's the first principle, worth, value. So just imagine, ask yourself, how much in terms of monetary value now, maybe in dollars, in pound sterling, in yen, in euro, not in naira actually, because we have devaluation of naira. I mean, how much value do you place on your time? The second principle is time is directly proportional to human life. Please just follow me carefully because some of these things I may not have time to repeat them. By the time we'll go into sharing session and also talking about these tools because I would like to apply these tools when you share so that it can make sense. And I'm not just here talking about theoretical stuff. Time that you want to manage is tantamount, is directly proportional, is equivalent, closely equivalent to life. So when you're talking about you want to manage time, you're talking about you want to manage your life. And that's the perspective at which you must approach time. When you wake up in the morning, set out, go about your daily chores, return back, set your plans, you have your goals, your pursuits, all those stuff. You spend time across board. Every moment counts. You are doing life in time. So you must understand. And when you understand this, in fact, when you get your planning table to begin to identify the different kind of tasks that you want to organize, that you want to arrange to perform in order for you to be able to achieve your set goals and objectives, again, within certain timelines, maybe in a short period of time, on a daily basis, weekly basis, or medium term, maybe monthly, quarterly, or on a long term, annually, whatever it is across your lifetime, you need to understand that as you live through time, you are living life. So the thing that is at stake is that if you're unable to adequately manage your time, fortunately, the resultant effect is going to reflect in or is going to be seen, projected in your lifetime. And that is why I think someone had lived a certain number of years and is having some kind of I mean, you're just thinking through life. Maybe this year, as we always do, you ponder, you have a retreat, sit back, think about how you spend the times within a year or the past times or years that have gone by. One of the things that bring regrets, that brings what's it called now? You just have this sense of unsatisfaction, you know, of underutilization and lack of meaning in life. What usually bring those kind of emotions or those kind of, inner feeling is simply because you have not been able to marry life with time and then take it a step further. Imagine the kind of value that you place. I remember it was Dr. Maizmuro that talked about this, that when you look at how long someone had lived and you are to put a value on it, imagine someone who had lived 50 years and you are to put a value in terms of money on it. How much do you think that kind of life worth? Okay, imagine. Let's even use a very simple analogy or simple analysis to explain this. How much do you earn? I mean, for those who are living outside of Africa, where most of your remuneration is based on the time you spend on your job. Maybe every 1 hour you earn $5 or €5. I'm just assuming taking this as data for us to do this quick calculation. So for every 1 hour you earn $5, okay? So how, on average, how many hours do you work in a day, in a week? On a daily basis, let's say you work 8 hours. At least that's the average for us here in Africa. Because you resume 8 o'clock, you close 5 or 6 o'clock. So average, let's just say 8 hours, okay? And you work 5 days in a week. So that's 40 hours averagely in a day. So multiply that by how many times you need to work in a year. 365 minus 52. I mean, let's just do this math so that you see exactly what I'm talking about, because it's very important for you to understand this principle. If you have your calculator, you can just press as I'm talking so that you will see in figures now how rich you can be. So we have 40 hours in a week multiplied by 52 weeks. Okay, so we can't use 52. Okay, yeah, 52 weeks. That's 2,080. That's the number of hours averagely you spend in a year. Okay, I would say for every day you earn how much in dollars? 5 hours. I mean, sorry, $5 um, times 8. That's 40, right? So 40 times 52. I know definitely is more than this, but 40 times 52. Okay, that's a 2,000. Hold on, what am I doing? So 40 is for a day. Please, I hope you are following through. Let me know if you are following me through. So
Yes, sir.
$40 is one day. So multiply by 5 days in a week, that's 200. That's 1 week. So on average, you earn $200 in a week. I know this is a huge amount of money for us here in Nigeria, but that's about averagely about 350,000 a week. Of course, that doesn't apply in developed economy, but I'm just using this as an example. So 200 times 52, right? That's
10,400.
10,400. So let's just assume, okay, that this is what you're worth. So in a year, every year on average, you're worth averagely about 18 million naira, averagely. So now multiply 18 million times 50 years. 18 million times 50, that's almost a billion naira. I mean, this is just on the lowest level. Just imagine 1 billion. So if someone, I mean, if you look at your account, I'm sure maybe you don't even have up to half a billion naira in your account, in terms of all your investments, maybe it's not up to half a billion. And you are thinking, you are looking at your life is miserable. You can't pay your rent, you can't pay your bills and all of that. Guess what? If you're a good time manager, okay, and you want to give account to your life, this is how you will know your worth. You don't let your circumstance and your situation tell you, but rather you turn to reality and like, okay, this is what the economy is saying. I work on a daily basis. My hours for me to be productive, you put to it, and then you put this, and you're like, my true worth really is this. And then I will now take you into the third principle of time management, and that is when you understand the right value that you place upon your life, then you'll be able to learn how to make right decisions. And more importantly, because the best aspect of taking right decision is learning how to say no. Please, I'm saying so many things carefully, and I don't want you to miss any of my statements because they are laden with understanding. Okay. First, second, the third one is you need to learn how to say no because that is the highest point of making right decisions. It's very easy for you to say yes, 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 yes to everything. It sometimes even comes to us naturally. Some things comes, flashes over you. You see that this thing is, in fact, sometimes it looks like deja vu. You've been dreaming about certain things and nature or all of life just bring that command and it's just like, oh, my dream come true. Sure. How are you going to be able to have the capacity, the understanding for you to know that it's not the right thing for you and you make the decision and your decision will be no? Is one of the things that you need to learn if you really want to manage your time because not all that glitter is gold. Not everything that shines is light. Hope I'm not confusing anyone here. Not all that glitter is gold and not everything because you have some people that will, in fact, you have things, that's why you have reflective index of material. It's not all materials that are light. There are some, they are natural. Their natural nature is that they reflect. But with science and technology, you can improve on the quality of an element or a material to give it reflective index. That's why you see some level of light coating, blah, 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 and all of that. You see, even glass. Glass naturally is not a reflective material, right? But you can improve on the quality of the surface of a glass in order for it to have some reflective index so that once light bounces on it, it can either retract or reflect. This is exactly what your life is all about, which you need to know. So these three principles, I want you to anchor it on the following conversations we are going to have. So I will open the conversation for few of us to just share on how you manage your daily life. Just take a typical example of how you live your life. Everybody has routines. So on the basic level, what kind of routine do you walk around? You might just take a typical one, maybe your work routine, or maybe if it's going to be how you spend your weekend or something like that. Just give us, I want about 2 or 3 people so that then we'll now go into talking about the tools and techniques. And here is how I want you to flow. In terms of how you communicate this to us. You start from how you start your day, how you plan your day, if at all you do planning of your day, then how you execute your plan for the day, then how you resort and end your day. I repeat, how you start your day, plan, execute, resort, and end your day. So that kind of a routine, I would like you to share, and then we'll see how to now apply some of these rules and principles or techniques on them. So who's going first? Please, we'll manage time. Just make it short, brief, and on point. Who's going first? Hey, let's not shoot beyond the hour. This is very important. You need to share. Who's going to first? Who's going first?
I don't mind, but I did want to give someone else a chance who may have not participated yet. But for the sake of time, um, so I start my day in the mornings with a devotional. Then I help out the going ons in the home. I don't plan per se. I have like a loose plan. Then I check my respective phone, email. I'll jot down a few things just as a reminder. Um, I I go and I greet people of the family. I come back and I do some Bible reading. I try to reach 10 chapters, don't usually make it there. Then I'll begin to work on whatever projects that I have going on. So I'll hop on Canva. Sometimes those get interrupted with family things. I'll go then, before you know it, it's afternoon. I'll go and make lunch. Then I'll come back, watch a show while I'm eating. Then I'll try to get back on a different task. And then once I finish a different task, maybe I have to do some family errands again. And then it's evening, and I'll, begin to kind of wind down by responding to leisure messages, reflecting on what I didn't do and what I have to do tomorrow. And then I'll again move into some personal development stuff, listening to a sermon, doing some journaling, and close out my night.
Good, good. So just keep this in mind. We'll reflect on it. Who is next? I need two more people. Just briefly share with us. Who is next? Hey, you shouldn't be quiet here, please. I don't want to call names. Hmm?
So,
Yeah, Agbero, I see you're muted. Go ahead.
good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes. So, how I spend my day. So it depends if I'm going to work. But right now, I'm not going to work. So, how I spend my day if I'm not going to work is, of course, start the day with morning devotions and pray till around after 7:38 with devotion every day. Do some housework like cleaning up and yeah. So by 10, I usually have it to ensure that I read a chapter a day. So I try to read a chapter of a book a day. Then, so after that, around 11 or so, I will have to prepare breakfast till 12 around that. So after breakfast, I will have to, I have some activities I'm still doing in online, like based on what I'm trying to do personally. I try to learn more about it, like those that are ahead of me, what's how they've been able to do it. I try to learn more either through YouTube or online. I just try to ensure I get how to learn more on what I'm still trying to do personally. So by evening, if there is ball, I will watch ball. I will watch football. If there's no football, I just have to relax and try to think on how my day is going and everything. So by evening, I try to uh, prepare for dinner, of course, prepare dinner, everything. So by night, every eight, I usually have personal fellowship, home fellowship. If I'm at home, it's always home fellowship. But if right now I'm on my own, so I have to do personal fellowship, just try to, study the Bible or listen to sermon, everything. So 9, 10 is night already. I try to see how I can prepare for following day, and basically that's how I just spend my day.
Okay, thank you, Miro. Good, good. So, I mean, it shows that you really have good command on your activities. That's why you're wearing, both of you that spoken, wearing missing words. So you really understand what you do, because it's very important. I mean, I've counseled people, I've met people that the question I asked you, they're always confused because they don't have a command on what they've done or what they are doing, right? They just know that they are doing things. So it's important that you know, and you can easily sit down and recap categorically, this is what I've done. It's also a sense of accountability, self-accountability. You can tell that, okay, I've been here, I've done this. I was supposed to do this, but I didn't do it because of ABCD and all of that. So that is what this is all about. So I wasn't going to be expecting, I mean, I'm not expecting like a perfect plan, just like what Dr. I said Primo earlier, saying she doesn't really have time. I mean, she doesn't do planning. So it's given. Okay. Because of time, you know, it's good that you know what you're doing, because where the first challenge comes in is you are doing things that you don't know what you're doing. And how do you know that you know what you're doing? Is when you have a self-convincing reason, which is oftentimes rooted in deep conviction. I may not have time to repeat some of these things, so I would expect that you listen carefully, because it's going to really, really help you. By the time you begin to look at all these tools, it is not just enough for you to understand that you need to do things on a daily basis or within certain timelines, and you are doing those things. It's more important that you know that those things that you need to do and you are doing them, or you have to do them, are based on deep convictions. They are rooted in deep convictions. And here is what I mean. If you are not convinced about doing certain things, if you do it, it's a waste of time. This might sound very interesting. Conviction is one of the first things that you will use in order to determine the rightness of a tool or the rightness of a technique that will help you manage your time as you are invariably managing your life. Conviction, deep conviction. Don't forget, I told you as part of the principle is learning how to say no. And I'll show you how to learn. I mean, just about 7 or 6 things that you can do that will help you to learn how to say no, no matter how difficult that may be, okay, or whatever scenario you find yourself in. So don't forget, deep conviction is the first thing you need to hold on to. So ask yourself every time, how deep are you convinced to take that step, to get here, to do this? How deep are you convinced? The second one has to do with prioritization. Please, if for any reason you're going to forget everything we are discussing in this session today, don't forget these 2 things: deep conviction, prioritization. And sometimes you explore deeper what conviction means when you have genuine faith in life. Yesterday we talked about belief system and we talked about value. So all of these are ingrained in the kind of faith you embrace. Okay? So again, we are talking about faith again here. So you see that life is very spiritual. So don't let people deceive you and tell you that, no, you don't need to be, or you are too spiritual. I love the fact that some of you, as part of your daily activity, you have time to pray, you have time to study, you have time to reflect, all of this stuff. Because many people don't do that. And technology is even making things pretty much easier for us now because you have Bibles on your fingertips. You know, you can switch on to your version, listen to audio Bibles, you can play in your car. I mean, so we have no excuse not to practice our faith, not to make our faith as part of our living. So deep conviction, very important. And the second one is prioritization. Whereas the first one is more like transcendental, the second one is natural. I mean, if one wants to give an excuse that, oh, I don't have faith, I don't do this, I don't have that. How come successful people, you see them? I mean, sorry, some successful people are not necessarily faith people. Like you see non-believers excelling in life, doing certain things that, people who are called to the success. We are going to get there on some other terms, sessions to talk about what success really means and all of that. But here's what I mean. What I'm saying, that for you to be able to have an holistic grab of your life and time, you need to have the command of these two. If you have one, it's a good start, right? You know how to prioritize very well. Prioritization, you are 100% on it. You can go to certain level in life, winning. You can scale up to a point in life, winning, but you never get to the zenith. That is why you see unbelievers very rich, successful in business, but there's lack of happiness, there's lack of satisfaction, there's lack of fulfillment. Okay, because something more than prioritization is what they don't have, and they are not giving in into the management of their life and their time. So those two key things are what every technique, all techniques, even when you go to Harvard School, when you go to Oxford University, you go to Cambridge, whatever, any university you go and they are teaching you about time management, or any of these institutes, project management, they are using project management principles and all of that. Any of these teachings or knowledge areas void of these two is not holistic. I've done my research and I've juxtaposed all of them. And that is why I have the stance to tell you this. I've done my personal research, I've done studies in some of these universities, and I'm telling you, reason why they will keep producing unholistic experiences for people who have gone through their universities or through their studies or knowledge areas is simply because they fail to embrace these two as the major focals for managing time. So deep conviction, prioritization is very key. So let's now look at how these, trickle down into some of these principles. Let's start with 80-20. How many of us have heard about the 80-20 rules? There's another name that this is called. I think that's a popular name. Many people might have not seen 80-20 analytical.
I've seen 80-20.
Sorry?
I've seen the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. It has another name. What other name is it called? It's a very popular name. That's why I'm not using the name. I want to show you what the name really implies. It's called Pareto principle. Pareto, P-A-R-E-T-O, Pareto. It's the same word. It's the same thing given to 80-20 rule. And this can be applied not just only to management of time, to management of anything in life in order for you to ascertain productivity. So it's a very useful tool. Use it to identify certain factors that will enable you to focus on major areas of impact. And the simple way to do that is through what I told you. The two things. First, deep conviction, because before you move into the realm of prioritization, you have to select items and put them in a backlog. I'm speaking agile now, okay? You have a bag where you need to drop all the items, all these things that you mentioned that you want to do from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. They are called items. They are called work items. They are called tasks. And you need to log all of them inside a bag, which we call backlog. 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 Okay, so how then do you make right selection? It's through your deep conviction. But many of these schools will not teach you this. Okay, they will teach you how to make the right choices, make the right decisions. Don't forget, we talked about this yesterday, premised on value system, your core beliefs and your value system, which is predicated upon your faith. Okay, which I'm now talking about in another dimension, deep conviction. So what they will focus on is, okay, you've selected these based on your objectives, maybe project objective or life objective, okay, which again points to purpose, you see. And now they now tell you how to make prioritization, because that is more relatable in the natural realm. But don't forget, when you are selecting, making choices, before you move to begin to do prioritization, you must be able to have deep conviction about knowing what is to be done and what is not to be done. And that helps you. In fact, it solves your problem more than 50%. The next challenge you have to face is how to prioritize and rank them according to order of priority. You rank those selected items according to order of priority. So what 80-20 rule does is, by the time you move into prioritization, you use 20% and 80% for your deliverables, meaning that 20% of everything you are going to do, okay, you have all these items, 20% of those items, 20% of those tasks is actually what naturally is going to give you satisfaction, fulfillment, and achievement of your set goals. 20%. Imagine you say you want to do 10 things in a day. There are two critical things that are pivoted. If you don't prioritize those two things, at the end of the day, you might have done 8 things, yet you will not be fulfilled, you will not be satisfied. That's what Pareto principle is saying. That 20% will always get you the result that is needed. So how then do you identify those 20 things? In another way, they will tell you that 20% is what you need to engage in order for you to be able to get the full result that you require. 20% is what you need to engage. So if you have resources, whatever it is, deploy it to 20%. I'll give another example of application of this Pareto principle. You are working in a community or in an organization where everybody is being paid to do their work and all of that. In that organization, you have 100 people working. 20 people are the ones that usually deliver productivity. 20% are usually the ones that get the job done for the company never to go bankrupt. 20%. Why others are just mere floaters. So depending on the structure and the management system, those 20% can be found even at the low level of management system, not necessarily the top management staff. I will not overflog this, but just put that at the back of your mind. It's something that you can use every point in time when you are doing your prioritization. You want to look at the 2 things out of 10. You want to look at the 4 things out of 40 that if you're able to, out of 20, if you're able to accomplish this, you're able to do this successfully, it suffices for your fulfillment, it suffices for your major deliverables. What this simply means is you are not obligated in life to think that you must do 100% for you to be able to get 100% results. You know, when you see genius, they'll tell you, these people are genius, they score 100%. It's not because they did 100% things, though. It's not because they are perfectionists. And that's what I mean by 100%. Because, in fact, when you look at perfectionists, which are in the range of choleric, you know, when you're looking at personality types, you see them in the range of choleric, you see them as partial choleric phlegmatic. These people, even though when they score first class are not top CEOs, at best they will return back as lecturers. And one of such people are even the ones that will end up becoming sadists. So you don't want to turn yourself to that. I think that your pursuit, is how to ensure that all your time you give it in to achieve 100%. Okay? Achieving 100% does not mean that you must do 100 things or all things. No. It's wisdom using this rule to look for the 20% of that set of things that you need to govern in order for you to be able to achieve. And it's a skill, because not everybody will be able to select the right thing and prioritize it. It's a skill. And that's why I'm pushing forward to you for you to be able to learn that skill. Let's move to the next one. How many of us have heard about this? Eat your frog. I'm sure you know a frog. Are we following?
Yes,
No,
sir.
I've heard of this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are some cultures where it is forbidden to eat the frog. But in life, it is not forbidden to eat frog. Because what this means is there is something that is most important. There's something that is, still connecting it with priority. There's something that after you have ranked all your activities, all the things that are so germane to you, to your life on a daily basis, there is one that stands out, that seems to be the connecting factor to every other thing. You need to identify it. And that's what the frog means. And you must be able to identify that particular thing that is central to all. For instance, if praying is what is central to every other thing in your life, God help you if you don't pray on a daily basis, your life is scattered. No matter what you want to triangulate to during a day. So you better learn on how to ensure that you integrate that to everything you do. And God always hears even at the most silent of our prayers. So it's not you saying, oh, I must pray and loudly to everybody, to hear and all of that. Just silent prayers, because God works with the intuitiveness of our hearts, with the way we incline our hearts to Him, not about the cliche of the practices. Or if, yours is you must eat on a daily basis for whatever reason, maybe for health reasons or whatever, and you miss that as a major tax, you have scattered the whole day for yourself, because you'll never be yourself. Or you need to take a drug, for instance, you're on a live drug and you don't take the drug. So what the heat your frog is talking about is you must know that particular, the ones that will give you the biggest result, that will make the biggest impact. In fact, the success and the result that one thing will produce will automatically validate the success of others. That's what it means. That's what it means. So that one big item in the big room, you need to identify it. This is also a skill, because it's not everybody that will give that attention to their life, because there are so many distractions. So this is one other skill that you can learn on how to, so that you will know, again, talking about priority, you can then give the most priority to that one thing, that even if every other thing is not achieved, as long as this one is achieved, my day is fulfilled. Did you get that? So put that also in your mind. The next one is 135. 135. What 135 is talking about is you have 3 major decisions to make. Okay? 3 major decisions you need to make. The first one is, again, like eat your frog. There's one most important task that you need to do. Put it aside. Okay? Identify it, put it aside. That's on a quick win. Then on a short win, you need to select 3 other items, 3 other major tasks that you need to do. 3. You put that one too aside. Don't forget journaling. We discussed about that yesterday. So all of these, you have to be documenting them. You write them down. If it's for you to look at your daily expenditures, and all of that, so that it doesn't complicate itself. So that might be part of what you need to do on a short term, on a daily basis. You need to have a time. So you log all these things. Then the other one is now 5 simple things that you can do that you don't necessarily have to stress yourself. They are not necessarily important. They may be partly important, but you don't just have to stress yourself. As simple as putting a call through to someone, or as simple as sending a text message or something. I mean, you know it because you have discovered yourself. Don't forget when we talk about self-awareness, you know yourself, you know those things that you can do at the tip of a finger, which vary from one person to the other. Those things you can do seamlessly without stress. At the tip of a finger, you can do 5 things, you put them together. So on a daily basis, carrying out these 3 categories of activities is what will amount to your accomplishments. That's what this 135 is talking about. So it's not just enough for you to just eat your frog. It's also important that you see ways by which you can do 3 things and you can do 5 quick things, 5 easy things, which if you don't do it, you will not even know that those things were not done because they are just so easy, so almost like a write-off for you. So the question is, why then didn't you do it? So there's a level of consciousness that 135 will give you when you're able to identify these things. For some, I mean, you can look at some daily chores. It doesn't take anything from you, but you just need to be conscious of, oh, I need to do this on a daily basis, and you get it done. And you'll have done it repeatedly, and you see that, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, oh, I've done this, I've done this, and it becomes like a routine to you. So it helps. So when you're talking about you managing your life, managing your time, these things will have created a profound profile for your life, which by the time you look back, you see that you have actually even done more, right? You have done more, not necessarily because you are prioritizing more, okay, but you're able to identify, even though it's not a priority, but you could have, I mean, not done them, but you did them because it didn't really cost you anything. There are some of these items, usually for the 5 easy things that you can do concurrently. And this is why I usually tell people, I mean, I use 135 a whole lot. And this is one of the things I usually tell people when people are trying to put the case about multitasking. I hope we'll have enough time for me to also share how I multitask. You know, for you to know that if you read anything out there and they're telling you don't multitask, don't do this. I mean, yeah, for some certain personality types, you may not, but there are certain go-getters, there are certain people who they are result-oriented, that there is no way you can live your life and manage your time without multitasking. It's just going to be a no-no. So 135 is one of those tools and techniques that you can leverage on for you to be able to multitask and achieve more, not necessarily because you are focusing on all of those items, but they are just easy drive for you. They are just like more like a byproduct of the major things you are focusing on, because they will naturally happen for you because it's part of what you have put in the backlog that you need to achieve. Okay. Am I making sense? This is another tool. I know some of you here had been part of my previous calls where I taught this extensively to you. So one of the assignments I'll be giving you after today's session has to do with this technique. Others, you can practice them on your own, but this one, I would like you to use this tool as a practice, which you will share with me. And it's called Pomodoro Technique. Sometimes I call it tomato technique. Okay. I'm sure in one way or the other, we are all cooks. If you are not even a cook now, you've been a cook before. You must have been a bachelor or a spinster where you prepare food for yourself, and you must have played around with tomato. And tomato, you can dissect tomato in different ways. And this is what Pomodoro Technique is all about. Dividing your daily timelines into smaller chunks is also a sense of agile. It's a way for you to gain agility, for you to work with a sense of adaptability. You have this adaptation skill. So Pomodoro is one of those adaptation skills that you can embrace in managing time. And what that means is you are breaking your time in performing specific tasks, each of those specific tasks into smaller chunk of timelines in the sprint of 25 minutes, first sprint, then the next sprint. What I mean by sprint is not agile sprints now. It's just walk milestone. The first milestone is 25 minutes. Then the repeated milestones will now be in 5 minutes. So for instance, maybe you have 1 hour to work. And 1 hour, when you take 25 minutes out of it, it remains 35 minutes, right? So the next 35 minutes, you break it down into 5 minutes, which is 7 times. So cumulatively, rather than just doing something, just once, boom, you spend 1 hour doing all stretch. You can break it down into 8 milestones. The first 25 minutes, you work, you rest 5 minutes, you move again for 5 minutes, you work, you rest another 5 minutes, you do another 5 minutes. So it helps you to maintain focus and then also achieve results in a quick succession. So whatever it is you've done in 25 minutes, you can easily appraise it, do what we called sprint review, okay? At the end of each 25 minutes, at the end of each 5 minutes, when you are doing your 5 minutes rest, you review. Maybe there are areas of continuous improvement, areas of adjustment you do before you move into the next 5 minutes. And this helps you. At the end of the day, by the time you complete the task, you see that you have done the task better than if you have done it straight 1 hour. And let me also sound this sound of warning. It's not all tasks you can use tomato technique to do. The same way, it's not all soup. It's not all soup that you use tomato to prepare. Some, they just use ordinary pepper because there are some people that like pepper, so you don't have tomato. I mean, if you want to really know, ask Ghanaians. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Let me show you because I wanted to give you assignment on it. So these are the steps, 5 steps you're going to take. I'll share this with you so that I can guide you when you're doing the take-home test, or sorry, task. The first step is you're going to choose the task that you want to do, any of your daily tasks. Imagine that particular task on normal day, how many hours will it take you to do the task? For instance, maybe it's just washing of your clothes. How long is it going to take for you to put it in the washing machine, and how long will you set? Is it going to be 55 minutes? Is it 1 hour? Is it 2 hours? Okay, then the next step is now for you to start the task for the first 25 minutes. Okay, then the next 5 minutes, you rest, then you walk again for 5 minutes, you rest, walk again for 5 minutes, and you keep that cycle going on until you finish the last set of minutes for the particular set time or timeline. Okay, so by the time you are done, okay, one of the things you achieve, one of the things you are going to determine is to see the level of the results you accomplish. Is it better than if you have done it just straight all through? So that's one thing you should put at the back of your mind. Then there's other one called deep work. Deep work. For this deep work, it's also important that you know that multitasking does not work for deep work. There are some people that have this resilient mind. They can stay focused for a long period of time, whereas there are some, they have low attention level. So this particular deep work works for those that have high attention level. They can focus for a long period of time for just only one task without being distracted. Unfortunately, this is being eroded in this current generation because of the way technology is stealing people's time away. Okay, and I won't be surprised if some of us are even multitasking, doing something else as we have been in this session. So deep work would not be a good tool for you to use in managing any of the tasks. So sometimes if you want to do a task like exam, you need deep work as a tool for you to manage your time. You have certain syllabus to cover. It's a must for you to cover certain curriculum in preparation for that exam. God help you if you don't cover them. So that means you need more time to focus on specific task, specific outcome. The tool you need to manage your time in preparing for exam or in sitting for the exam is deep work. So you have to leave every other thing and just focus on this thing because you must cover the syllabus and prepare. And don't think that it's just a matter of you praying alone that will help you in your preparation. So that helps you. And then you can break this into a longer sprint of time in terms of hours, usually between 1 to 3 hours. So some might just be 1 hour that they can focus. Anytime outside of 1 hour, they are lost. So you keep to that, but let it be repeated until you have exhausted whatever it is that you're focusing on. Maybe you have finished reading the book or reading the subject and all of that. Then for some, they can span up to 3 hours. But because of the level of human brain, it's just like computer. When you run it for a certain number of time and the fans start making noise, like my computer sometimes make noise after you've done a lot of design on the program, so you just need to rest and take a nap, refresh, recalibrate your mind, and then you come back so that you can achieve the level of assimilation or the level of acceptance that your mind need to work at that span. So this is what deep work achieve, and is also very good. Then the last one, if I move finally, sorry, I'm going to shoot a bit into the hour. It's already 3 minutes past the hour. I'll round up. The last one, before I shoot into the final thing I'll talk about, which is learning how to say no, is using these Eisenhower metrics. It's very important that you know how to put your life into segments, okay? You put your life into segments that you can relate with. Still talking about the issue of prioritization. You can prioritize your life in a segmental way, where you determine what is urgent and equally important, what is not urgent but important, what is urgent and not important, and what is not urgent and not important. Those are the 4 segments that you can, simplify your life on. And every decision you want to make, you determine what is urgent and important. So you can call this a 4x4 matrix. Okay, it's a 4x4 matrix. Determine what is urgent at the same time important, because there are some things that may be urgent but they are not important, and there are some things that are important but they may not be urgent, and there are some things that they are not important at all and they are not urgent. You must be able to identify all these things in order for you to be able to prioritize effectively. And guess what? Let me ask this generic question now, and I would like everybody to answer, maybe as a chorus answer, or you can type in the chat box. Imagine what level will you place something that is very urgent and very important. How will you scale this in terms of priority? Very urgent, very important, or urgent, important. Let's just keep it simple like that. Urgent, important. Anyone? How will you rank this in terms of order of priority?
You're asking how will we rank the methods?
No. How, if you have a task, okay, if you have something you need to do and it's urgent, you determine that it's urgent and is important, how will you rank it in order of priority?
I would say to do it immediately.
So that means it is top high, right? It's very, very high. If you have to put it on a graph, it means that it's going to be on top. It's going to be very high. That's where I'm driving to. Like, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to be number 1. It's high, it's top. This is how you perceive your work items. So what is that thing that should be on your number 1 list to do, because it is urgent, it is important. It's like a risk, high risk. If this thing is not done as at the time it's supposed to be done, it might cause some level of fatality. It might cause a high level of havoc, irreparable loss. So there are certain things in your life on a daily basis that works like that. So it's not going to be casually treated. You shouldn't. In fact, if you don't understand these 4x4 matrix, it's going to be very difficult for you to make sense of some things in your life on a daily basis. And you'll have been casually throwing them off, throwing them off, throwing them off. Whereas there are some things that they are not important at all. They can wait till forever and they are never urgent. But guess what? This is how you determine distraction. Things will come and give the impression that, you need to do it. No, 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 no. In fact, you'll be hearing calls here and there. Boom, boom, boom. You need to join us. You need to do this. You need to come here. You need to have this, blah, blah, blah. Because people will be posing it like as if they're urgent. Remember, I told you yesterday or 2 days ago that you don't live your life on others' terms. You have to live it on your own term, using all the things I explained yesterday, your value system, your belief, your core beliefs, and of course, driven through the path of your purpose. That's how you know what should be directional to your life. So you don't follow multitude. You don't follow the pathway of competition to know what is urgent and what is important. You prioritize and determine this urgency and importance, level of importance, based on your core beliefs, value system, and your purpose. Okay, so let me stop this skill. So I've given you 6 tools now. I hope you still remember them because the only one you're going to work on is a Pomodoro. But I'll share this with you so that you can have it and you can always go over it. Is that taking? Is that taking?
Sir.
Okay, so let's end with this. How then do you learn how to say no? Imagine now you have conflicting decisions to make. Everything is just telling you, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. How many of us have been in that situation before? All seems to be nice, all seems to be very important, all seems to be very urgent. It's a deception. Though. You know, when I'm confused and I get to that kind of situation in life, I always tell myself, this too shall pass. You know, I can't be distracted. This too shall pass. So you need to get to that point where you learn how to say no, how to retract, how to refuse, how to politely tell people no. Tell yourself no. It's a skill and it doesn't come naturally to us. You have to learn it. And it's part of your personal development. It's part of your professional development. So that in the midst of competing decisions, in the midst of competing interests within yourself, all of these things happen internally. I'm not talking about things that influences you from external. Inside, this battle happens in your mind, as we explained yesterday. Growing that mindset, it happens in your mind. So when it's happening and there are suggestions from external, how then do you deal with it? That's what this is all about. And there are different ways by which you're going to deal with it. You see, we'll come back again to Pareto principle. You can use this principle to determine what you need to say no to and what you need to accept. Again, by the time you know those 20 things, 20% things that can help you achieve fulfillment and achieve your results, every other thing becomes inconsequential, becomes irrelevant. And that's if you're able to quickly achieve this 20 and you still have more time, then you can focus on them. However, you can ab initio say no to those other things. An example is you've identified you want to do 10 things in a day and you will never have 24 hours time to achieve those 10 things. Then you prioritize and you have 2 important things, urgent things that you feel you're going to do. And that is what you are placing all your resources, including the way you want to manage your time. What Pareto principle is saying no is saying is the remaining 8, just to remove them from the backlog, you are not going to do them so that you don't get distracted. Because as long as you have them as part of your partial focus, anytime if you are now combining Pomodoro and you think you have 5 minutes relapse, you want to go and focus on it and you get distracted. So this is to help you against distraction. It helps you to focus, to maintain singular direction, what they call unilateral direction in moving towards achieving your results. So this rule helps you to achieve that. Then again, you have the 4x4 matrix. And what this does is immediately you know what you need to do. That is very urgent and equally important. What you need to do in saying no is, this is the particular thing I'm going to do. Every other thing can go and wait. Every other thing can go and wait. This is what I'm going to do. And heaven cannot fall. Even when they said there's SOS, there is emergency, it's not meant for me. I used to tell people that there are certain friends I have that if you ever find yourself on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they say call a friend, never try to call this set of people. The day I realized that these people work and they live their life based on this 4x4 matrix, I know, okay, so that's the level I should put them. So there are some people that no matter what you want to define to be urgent to them, it's never going to be urgent. Never going to be urgent, because what they have accepted to be urgent and they've embraced is what remains urgent and important to them. So every other thing is inconsequential, and you cannot put pressure on them. Everybody can learn that kind of skill, and trust me, the world will be a better place to live in, where people are no longer transferring aggression because they can simply not learn. They've not simply learned how to undo and manage their own life and their time as well. So this 4x4 will help you put that into proper perspective. Okay. And every other thing, either like in risk management, you have different mitigation plans. It's either you transfer, or that's when you are transferring risk, you are more or less buying insurance. So you transfer to a third party, okay, or you use comprehensive means and all of that. But it is no longer your worry. You have paid someone to be the worry, so you can transfer, okay. Then the other one is for you to, you are not just going to even accept it, you avoid it completely. You run away from it, you abscond, you disappear from it, okay. You just had to totally take it off your radar. There are some friends that you need to do that to. There are some jobs, there are some locations, there are some activities in your life that you need to do that to. Otherwise, you continue to get distracted. So this 4x4 will help you against every form of distraction. So if these are part of your pain points, that's why I'm emphasizing it. If these are part of the things that you're struggling with in order for you to be able to grow, make sure you try this out. It will help you. Okay, there's also OKR. OKR simply is an acronym that means objectives and key results. Objective and key results. So this helps you to, having understood your vision and purpose for each of your day. So that means that you must be dutiful enough to set specific goals. So if you're someone that doesn't set goals and you don't know objective of each day, you can't use OKR. You can't use OKR. So if you're not familiar with, if it's not something you've been doing, except you want to start doing it, so you must have your goals, you must have the objective of the goals, like the aim of those goals, okay? And then you can now look at how are you going to attain those goals in order for you to be able to get specific results, okay? So the ones that would drive you towards getting your specific results, you easily say yes to. But whatever it is that implies that you cannot get your result, you quickly say no. For instance, you're supposed to attend a meeting, and it's at the time where you're going for a meeting that some other things pop up. You know that definitely that's going to help you not to achieve your meeting. And that meeting is a top priority for that day. So it's very easy for you to say no, because you have already set an agenda for yourself. So it helps. So nothing comes by the way to you. So OKR will help you, because you must hit your target for the day. It's like a salesperson who has set a target. So that's what OKR is. Then there's another one we call most call. It's also an acronym, which simply means must have, should have, could have, and won't have. This is also like a scale, a four-way scale. The first scale talks about must have. These are critical, most important items that determines the the highest level of your success, the highest level of your results, it's mandatory, it's compulsory, it's obligatory that you must do these things. I mentioned an example the other time. If, God forbid, you are on a terminal drugs, life drugs, it's a must that you must take your drug on a daily basis. A must. So whatever it is you want to do with your life that day, you must prioritize at what point. And some people, they have a timeline when they must take the drug, maybe one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, or just in the afternoon. And God help you, you miss that time. So you have to. So Moscow helps you to prioritize based on the categories of your activities in terms of, is it must? Is it just something that you should have, or is it something that you could have, or is it something that you don't necessarily have to have? Okay, so this will help you to prioritize as well. Then we have two more. We have the one they call RICE. RICE is also an acronym. So here, this one just give you some data that you score, and based on the score, you'll be able to achieve your decision-making process. So the first, so R stand for reach, REACH. I stand for impact, C stand for confidence, and E stand for effort. So you have reach, impact, confidence, and effort. So reach talks about the tasks that will really impact the life of people in terms of like the numbers. So when you are talking about this session now, how many people is attending, how many people is participating, and then out of the people participating, how many people based on feedback, is going to be rightly impacted. So you use this as a way to, for each of your selected item of work that you need to do on a daily basis, you determine the extent to which you need to go on a day. Maybe there's something you need to do as a recurring activity. You've done it yesterday, you have to do it again today, you have to do it tomorrow until you exhaust it. Like this thing is going to be repeated. There's a repetition over it. Okay. Then there are some that there's a specific level of outcome you need to have in terms of impact. You need to determine that so that you don't prioritize one that would not have big shots on the ones that is going to have, the one that will have small shots on above the one that will have big shots. Okay, so by the time you have your score at the end of the day, the one that ranked the highest score, no matter how it scales across these four levels, becomes what will enable you to always embrace. The one that will give you low score is the one you can easily discard and say no. I hope that is very simple enough. There are sometimes that you just need to reach out to 5 people, 10 people. As long as those 10 people, you are going to have major impact in their lives. It suffices for you to have 100 people who are packed and none of them is impacted. So you see now, so it's not just about what is being done, but the cumulative score of what is being done, the level of impact of what is being done, okay, and then the feedbacks, the results, how much of resources, all of this put together is what determines whether it's reasonable for you to do those things or not to do those things and abscond for it. So this will help, especially for those that works on multi-functions of activities in a day that are resource driven, because you want to make sense of your investment on time. Okay, and then the last one, which is Kano, Kano, Kano model. Kano model. This I really use because by the time you work in a dimension of, for instance, in this session, when you work with so many people and you see a lot of nuances that you need to deal with on a daily basis, you just have to look for ways by which you want to define the level of satisfaction you get in what you impute. Okay. Otherwise, you might never get satisfied on anything. And that is why when I engage people and I see that no matter what they do, they are never satisfied. There are people like that. No matter what, they are never satisfied. Such people, they are always very difficult to please. Even when you put your head on the stake and it's chopped off, they are still not satisfied. Those kind of people, they are one of the most difficult set of people that you are going to meet in life. But Kano helps you to deal with those people. So sometimes, because I don't want to have those kind of backs to myself, when I see them, I'll just quietly stay away. It's also an easy way for me to say no to people. And I see that you have too much wahala, too much nuances to deal with. I have more than enough nuances to deal with. So I just quickly, you know what? You are not important to me. I just walk away. Whereas if you have based on your personality type, you have that strength whereby, because there are some people that are just people pleaser. I mean, you have people with that kind of tendency. You are people-oriented person. So you have the natural tendency to always determine the scale by which you can go, the extent by which you can make sacrifices in order for you to be able to satisfy people. Yeah, you can look at Kano model for you to be able to prioritize how you are going to deploy your life and your attention to those things, starting from the basic requirements. Okay, the basic requirements, because you need to now know in terms of people management, what are the basic requirements? And you don't want to also cluster too many requirements at a goal. You take each requirement per time. And what I mean by each requirement, if you are someone who is dealing on one task, for instance, maybe your task in a day is to write a proposal for your boss in the office. And this is someone who is near to a perfectionist, want to cross all I's and dot all T's. Okay. Dot all I's and cross all T's. And wants to also check every bit of the line. So such a person, you have to be very meticulous, meaning that you are going to be spending more time in order for you to be able to please the person. So what you need to do through this Kano is for you to, rather than starting to jump into doing that, the kind of person is a perfectionist, the person is a meticulous stuff. You need to first of all approach the person and take a brief. You take a brief, and from your brief, you'll be able to determine what is most essential. Because out of everything you want to write for the person, there's something that the person is actually looking for, which if you never engage the person, you may never get to know. So in using Kano, there's also a bit of emotional intelligence skills that is required, or generally soft skills that is required, because now you need to understand interpersonal relationship, because more of the thing that is going to help you manage your time is external to you, unlike other ones that are more internal to you. I don't know whether you follow me up to this point. There are more of external things, activities you are going to be doing on a daily basis that are more of external than internal. Kano is the best tool that you can use, because you have to understand not just you alone now, understand the person. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in, and other power skills that you want to acquire. So if you're able to practice all of these things, this is just to show us a quick analysis of this. I'm going to share this with you too, so that you can put this on your screen, on your tablets, on your wall. Anytime you see it, it can always remind you until you just, perfect the act of using these tools. So this is what it is. And I believe all this has helped you. Okay. Any question? Any question? So if I ask you now, we are just almost ending a day and moving into another day. Do you think you are going to do better in managing your time tomorrow?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
Do you think you are going to do better in managing your time tomorrow using any of these skills? Okay, so it's not just good enough for you to tell me, yes, okay, I want you to practicalize it. So I'm going to give you 2 assignments. The first one I've
Yes, I
mentioned
will.
before. Okay, thank you. So the first one I've given you before, using that Pomodoro technique, the tomato technique, I want you to carry out a task. Determine a task and use the task, use Pomodoro Pomodoro technique to analyze how you're going to manage that task successfully. That's the first assignment. Then the second one is for you to, let me see how to put this now. Okay, so just determine what you think is your major pain point in managing your life, managing your time on a daily basis? I mean, there will be something that you have been struggling with that keeps giving you that low level of satisfaction that you wish how much you know how to manage time. You could have done more, or you could have achieved more, or you could have succeeded in achieving your goals and all of that, either on a short term or in a long term. You just finished a year. Maybe there are so many things you're supposed to have achieved last year, you didn't achieve. Now this is a new year. So I want you to, based on all the these 6 techniques I've shared with you, and of course, learning how to say no, I want you to give a narration of that pinpoint and how you think you are going to use this time management tool or technique. Which of them you think is going to help you solve that? Is it clear?
Clear, sir.
Can you repeat the
Oh.
third one?
Okay. So I said the second one is determine your major pain points in managing your time and your life. Major pain points that you wish, if you know or you have the skill, you could do better, you could achieve more, you can be more productive in doing those tasks. So determine what that major pain point is. Then use any of this technique, based on your understanding, use any of these techniques to analyze it and see how you think you can achieve more results or more productivity. Do you understand?
Okay, yes, I do.
Excellent. So the 2 is what we're going to work on this weekend. So if you have any backlog of the tasks you have not done, tomorrow will just be a review, and then we'll have some conversation around the topic for tomorrow, but won't take much time because I wanted to use this weekend before we move into week 2. I want to use this weekend for you to be able to catch up in case you have not been doing and submitting your assignments, so that you can close out on all that before you move into the new week. And don't forget, this week is focused more on G factor. We're going to move into another factor next week. Tomorrow, I'm going to drive home all the 6 things. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow, it's not Sunday. I keep saying tomorrow is not Sunday. So I will talk about all the 6 concepts and subjects that we've spoken about, and then close out on the G factor. Okay, so we end here. Sorry, extend by extra 30 minutes. I needed to mention all the 6 tools so that we can be able to see how to apply them. Thank you.
So,
If there's any question, okay, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Dr. Ulahan, do we meet on Sunday instead of tomorrow?
Ideally, we're supposed to meet on Sunday as well, but my plan is I'll give you Sunday for you to be able to catch up with all the assignments and all the tasks. So Sunday will be free.
Okay, so then tomorrow.
Yeah, so the conversation on Sunday, we'll have it tomorrow.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, any other question? There are some people that have never spoken since we started. Tomorrow, I'm going to put you on the spot, so come prepared. Okay. Take care, everyone. Night. Bye.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Night.
Good night. Good night.